My name is General Christian Aldo Montgomery. As you can see, the American and British forces have bombed that old useless abbey behind us at Monte Cassino. We've given the Jerrys one hell of a good shellacking. I like to think of Italy as the soft underbelly of the Axis. So, what do you say, old chums? Shall we go in and kick some Jerry butt? Fire! Hello everybody, my name is Christian Aldo and welcome to the Plastic General. Before we start, I just want to remind you guys to hit the subscription button so we can build our little community of 132 World War II toy soldier fans, and we can build this show, and you can always be notified by future episodes, especially if you hit the little bell. Also, I'd like to do a shout out to one of our official sponsors, MyDogTag.com, creators of authentic World War II U.S. military dog tags, and you can have them specialized whatever you need. So if you want to steal someone's valor and say you're a general, you can write that on there and walk around and tell everybody you're a general. And they'll believe it because these are authentic World War II dog tags by MyDogTag.com. So just a very, very brief history about the Battle of Monte Cassino. The Allied troops, the Americans, the British, and the Canadians, and the Indians, and some Polish troops, they were slowly dredging their way up the peninsula of Italy, trying to make their way to Rome, but they were up against starch resistance with the elite German soldiers there. The Ally mistakenly thought that on top of this mountain was the Abbey of Monte Cassino, and they thought the Germans were hiding out in the Abbey. So they mistakenly bombed the hell out of the Abbey, which in the end created a great defensive fortress for the elite German Fallschirmjägers, otherwise known as German Paratroopers. So the first set we're going to review came out in 2010, and it was by a company by the name of Pegasus. Pegasus Hobbies came out with 10 poses of German Paratroopers Monte Cassino. So the first two poses consist of a commander wearing a suicidal white cap. I don't know why anybody would want to wear a white cap, but he's wearing one. And he's not wearing the usual traditional paratrooper garb, the paratrooper jumpsuit. He's holding an MP40 submachine gun with binoculars, and he's got a pistol. And this Fallschirmjäger is wearing a helmet cover. He's wearing his camouflage jump smock. He's holding a Mauser rifle. Over here is just a supply bag of something. I don't know what that is, I regret. And here's the bread bag, and there's his canteen. And he's wearing a bandolier of ammunition around his neck. Poses 2 and 3. Kneeling, firing a Panzerfaust anti-tank weapon. It's a plasma weapon, actually, that will melt the hull of a tank. And this figure is kneeling, sharpshooting a Mauser. Poses 5 and 6. Standing, holding a MP40 submachine gun with the stock out, throwing a potato masher hand grenade. And this soldier is firing an MG42, which you'll see a real one later on today in the episode. And also, there's this really great item that I purchased. It's netting that you could buy at a hobby shop, and you can just glue the netting on top of the helmets to make it look like that they have netting on their helmets. And a lot of the Fallschirmjägers at Monte Cassino put foliage and camouflage over their net, underneath their netting. Poses 7 and 8. Standing, sharpshooting MP40, and kneeling, firing a Panzer Schreck German bazooka. It was actually superior to the American bazooka. And they're both wearing camouflage helmet covers which makes them extra cool. And finally, poses 9 and 10, advancing, firing MP40 machine gun. And this guy is wearing his camo smock more accurately and correctly the way it was worn. What they would do is they were originally tight around the legs, but then once you arrived, you could loosen them up to make them into 3/4 length coats. And he's advancing with ammunition belt around his neck and a rifle. But this guy looks more like what a Monte Cassino trooper would look like. And as everybody knows, the Plastic General loves to make conversions, so I made one. So I made a standing firing Panzerfaust, cross-pollinated from the lower half of this figure and the upper half of this figure. Isn't that exciting? You can do the same. Conversion number 2, standing firing Panzerfaust. Utilizing the bottom half of this figure and the top half of this figure. And the beauty is now I've created another figure with its open smock, which is really extra cool. And I also put the netting on top of his helmet. Figure number 3, I kind of created him from the bottom half of this guy and the top half of this figure here. Just another kneeling sharpshooting figure, leaning extra close, leaning extra forward. A second in command, Fallschirmjäger commander. I made him utilizing this figure here. I swapped out his head and gave him a regular paratrooper helmet with a helmet cover and put him on the body of a kneeling figure. So here we are, the full complement of Pegasus Hobbies, 132 scale, German Fallschirmjägers, and Monte Cassino uniform. So everybody loved the Pegasus German paratroopers. They were Monte Cassino-ish, but that wasn't enough because Mars came out with their set of Monte Cassino German paratroopers. The first 2 poses, standing sharpshooting FG-42, that Fallschirmjäger 42, versatile submachine gun / assault rifle. And this second figure here is standing sharpshooting an MP40. You notice the netting is sculpted into the helmet here. There's the gas mask container. By this period of the war, they weren't keeping their gas masks inside of the container. They were storing personal supplies. You have the bread basket. You have the canteens. You have the ammunition pouches. And this figure is also wearing a bandolier of big clips because the FG-42 had a huge clip on the side of ammunition. And so you had to have a special ammunition strap when utilizing it. Poses 3 and 4. Another coveted FG-42 figure firing from waist. You know, like, it was such an important weapon for German paratroopers, but no one had ever properly featured it in a German paratrooper figure before. Airfix did it once, but it was badly done. And this figure here is running with a Beretta submachine gun. It was borrowed from the Italians since they were on the Italian peninsula. They had lots of access to Italian small arms. And on his, he's also running with a bandolier around his neck of ammunition. Poses 5 and 6. This figure here is getting ready to throw this very heavy a multi-charge cluster grenade, and on his back is one of the German Gewehr rifles. And this figure here is also utilizing a Beretta, an Italian Beretta submachine gun, and on his front chest and on his back is a special, it's a special harness that holds long clips of ammunition, so you can quickly store and load the weapon easily. And of course, all of these figures, the vast majority of them, have their camo smocks open, looking like 3/4 length coats. I guess it's better for the rain, or if, like, when you lie down to go to sleep, it feels like you're sleeping in a blanket. Who knows what the reason is. And they're also wearing their more tropical, loose, light tan colored or light khaki colored pants. Poses 7 and 8. Figure kneeling, firing the dreaded MG42 heavy machine gun, very versatile machine gun. It would fire 1,200 rounds a minute, an insane rate of fire. And this figure here has a Guir rifle on the ground, obviously waiting to snipe somebody. And he's wearing his side cap because it's probably a really hot day in Italy, and his helmet is strapped to his back. A lot of these figures also have binoculars because they were on the mountaintop looking down upon the advancing Allied troops. Now, Mars is coming out with 2 more sets of Fallschirmjägers in tropical uniform. And the next set is an advanced set that was just sent to me. And it is a team that will be firing a weapon called a LG-43. And what that weapon is, which was not included in this advanced set that they mailed to me, because it's still being created. It's a small sort of cannon that was especially designed for Fallschirmjägers, so that they could take this light but very devastating weapon into battle, no problem, on wheels, and roll it away and put it in position. But the great thing about this set is it can be utilized with not only the LG-43, you can utilize it with an artillery piece. And this happens to be a Pack 34. Like, so you have the gunner here, you have the commander with the binoculars, you have a guy loading the shell, you have another guy carrying a shell, you have another spotter or something covering his ears because he wants to preserve his hearing. And there they are in action. A very, very useful team of soldiers that can be utilized with a wide array of weapons. Now, the next set that will be coming out will be a 5-man mortar team will be the next set that Mars will release in this series. So here's the crew. We have 8 poses from set number 1, 5 poses from heavy weapon set number 2, and there will be 5 more poses from heavy weapon set number 3. 132 Fallschirmjägers in tropical uniform by Mars. And for the next set, it's going to be one that was released by 21st Century Toys back in about 2005. And it's the British infantry in tropical uniform, the exact kind of uniform they would have worn during the invasion of Italy. The 2 figures here are both holding Lee Enfield rifles. One figure is firing from the hip, and the other one seems to be stabbing with a bayonet. And they're both wearing Mark II British helmets, and with webbing on top of them, so they could stuff foliage inside of the netting for camouflage. And it's a great set. This is set number 1. So these are poses number 1 and 2. Poses 3 and 4. Standing sharpshooting rifle. And this guy seems to be like yelling back to one of his chums. Come on, let's move forward. And then, of course, when he moves forward, he gets this, a bullet in the wishbone. And this figure is, looks like he's been shot while holding a very, very heavy Bren gun with one hand. I don't know how he does that, but he can do it. And this figure is another figure, slightly different than the last, that's also standing sharpshooting his Lee Enfield rifle. These figures were pre-painted. And also, they came on these very, very bulky bases that I didn't like them. They were plastic, oversized, bulky bases. So I snapped them off the bases. And what I did is I went to the store. I went to the hobby shop and bought some thin polystyrene and glued them with super glue onto the polystyrene, which make much better neutral bases. Now, for set number 2, which is a superior set, the sculpting is better and the paint jobs are better. We have 2 figures here, standing, sharpshooting. They're Lee Enfield rifles. There's not much. They both have they're wearing their classic British ammunition pouches on their breast, but there's not that many. There's not that much supplies. There's not that much equipment hanging off of them. This guy here, he has one leg up on a ammunition box or something. I don't know why, but he does. But they're nice figures. Poses 3 and 4. This figure is holding a heavy Bren gun, and he's running. He's running to a degree where he almost looks like he should be in the ballet or something. And this figure is also firing a Bren gun from waist. So they're sending a lot of lead in the air. Those are really powerful machine guns. Poses 5 and 6. Kneeling sharpshooting rifle and in prone position firing his Lee Enfield rifle. I think that's a Mark III that he's using here. It has more of a snub nose on the end of his rifle as opposed to the later versions of the Lee Enfield Mark IV. And they have no netting on their helmets. So here you are, both sets of British Tommies, and they're made by 21st Century Toys around 2005 to 2007. They still pop up on the marketplace. They're not too rare, but I love these figures. They're prefabricated. I definitely recommend them, and they're fantastic for the Monte Cassino and for the Italian campaign. And now for the appropriate featured weapon of the show. This is a Stug 3 by Forces of Valor. Now, what the Stug was it was a regular Panzer III tank. And what they did is they didn't add on the turret that a normal Panzer III would have. And what they decided to do was make this a really good, a versatile defensive self-propelled gun tank. So this small vehicle was really good in the defensive position. So it could line up with its. It had a superior gun, and had a really strong welded superstructure, and it was fantastic for Italy, and they were used in Monte Cassino, and so we're going to use them here today. Let's give you a little tour. It came with a figure. It's by Forces of Valor. It's a 132 tank. It has the later style ventilation here, or filters. And it's got a couple spare wheels on the back. It's got a second gunner's position here. If I can open you. Open! Oh, there we go. And a figure can also be there. Then there's a little shield here with a little hole for a machine gun to come through. This weapon could only move by a few degrees, but that's all they needed. They fire from far away and then move to a different position. And there's also a couple more escape hatches here at the front for the driver and the radio man. And that's about it. So this is a 132 scale Stug 3 by Forces of Valor.
Come on, boys! Let's show those dirty Jerrys what the British are made of! Tally-ho!
That's all for today, folks. Remember to press the subscription button and the little bell next to it so you can always be notified about future episodes. If you guys have any comments, write comments or pick out any inaccuracies. We don't have many in this show, but if you can spot some, we'd like to know. My name is Christian Aldo. I'm the Plastic General. Long live 132 World War II. See you next time. Oh!
Oh, this British-made junk! Oh, you don't have to yell, you know. You could be just a little more of a gentleman. Be quiet, prisoner! Soft underbelly, eh?